Haydn Townsend is well known in the advertising industry, and he's the chief executive officer of a new agency with the curious name of Pangea Ultima. More about that in just a moment. But today we're going to talk about continuing to challenge the current agency model along with what he terms its inefficiencies and closed thinking. Inefficiencies and closed thinking. That's quite an indictment against the current system, isn't it?
Man, I guess if we look at where the game is at the moment, we're pretty much tired of hearing everybody going, it's over, agencies are dead, current models are coming under question all the time. But there certainly are agencies in the world at the moment who are challenging it. So I don't want to sit here and start attacking the industry. I think there's enough of that. But it's more about trying to find the solutions and finding answers. So I guess the poster boys at the moment are MoFilm, who are kind of cleaning up in Cannes and all over the world actually at the moment. And I think it was Jack Neff in Ad Age last month wrote an article about the dinosaurs who were walking around in Cannes looking at these little furry mammals popping up all over the show. And I guess the reality is...
Those furry mammals have got sharp teeth.
They're starting to get sharp teeth and they're starting to fly all around and nibble at everything. But I guess what that means is it's time to start taking it seriously, you know, starting to look at other models. And we're certainly not saying that we have the answer, but I do like the fact that some agencies are starting to walk and stop talking. You know?
All right, that's the broad thinking then. I want to talk about your new model in just a moment, but I have to push you on where you think current inefficiencies are within the broader model. What's not working in the business?
There are two key things I think that we need to look at. It's first the closed system that we operate in, and I guess they call it we're driving up the perception of expensive talent inside the agency. So it's not necessarily a money thing, and I don't want it to go there. It's not about trying to make the game cheaper at all, but it certainly is about the efficiency of it. So internally, we've got the construct of the closed creative team. We still haven't embraced the broader thinking.
Too insular, too top-heavy. Is that what you say?
Completely. You know, top-heavy is quite an interesting one because what we're doing at the agency is... So Victor and Spoils is a very good example of an agency that started out with a kind of typical crowdsource model. We put out a brief, everybody pitches on it, there's a Victor, and then there are a few who share some spoils. Over the years, they've realized that that doesn't work doesn't work in its entirety without leadership, without curatorship. So I think the agency does need a senior team to lead the thinking, but clients care less about where the ideas come from, but what the quality of the output is. So if we can access that broader pool of creativity coming through a heavy leadership, and then giving it to the client on brief, on strategy, I think that's where the future is going to be.
Are you just a big search engine then for brands?
It's, I suppose, the search engine model is when you're looking at when the clients go straight through. So there are many of those agencies and successful at it. So I don't think we can knock it, right? So there's Giant Hydra and Idea Sickle and some powerful agencies are doing some really good work. The problem is that it takes like 10 or 20 hits to get there because everyone is working off the same brief, but coming up with different ideas.
Whereas you can source, find, and curate best practice.
Absolutely, and we think that that's effectively where the agency is going, and that's the model we're working on. And it's shown some traction, and what's interesting is we've extended it into working with independent agencies. So we've extracted, if you may, their creative and strategic departments. We're sitting centrally and we work with PR, with digital, with events, with activation, with brand strategy, and we actually centrally service them creatively. And I think through the last couple of years, one thing that's really struck me that the need for creativity or the type of creativity is no different to coming up with a PR concept to an activation to a TV ad. And I've gathered partners now, so I've got James Klute, who's a writer by trade, but an ECD, and Gareth Lessing, who's an art director by trade, but an ECD as well. And we formed one team that can actually think multidisciplinary.
You're the strategist.
I'm Yeah, still by trade, yes. So we're forming this team, and that's kind of, call it the heavyweight team, and we interface with the clients. So you come through that central point, and we'll take universal briefs, and we will then bring in the independent partners as we need, but they focus on execution. So I guess one of the big learnings has been the duplication of creative resources, something that we've manufactured as an industry. It's not something that's really necessary, you know. Initially, kind of, digital had this little aura around it that, oh, that thing's so different, you know, so we can't really go there. But I think over time, you know, the Glues and the Ogilvies merging, it's proven the point that it's the same type of creativity. It's purely an execution.
Haydn Townsend, very quickly, I'm not going to let you go. In conclusion, Pangea Ultima. What?
Well, for those who are geographically inclined, you will get it. It's a metaphor for kind of a philosophy, which is just this. You know, the continents as we know it all started out in one landmass, and that was called Pangea. So for us, that's pretty much where the industry used to be 65 years ago, where we had everything from production to research to media all in one space. Today, we sit in a very fragmented world with little islands all over the show, different continents, everything split apart. And the world's round, so in 200 or so million years' time, it'll come together and form a supercontinent called Pangea Ultima. So for us, that is the coming together of it. But what will be different is they will come together as sovereign countries governed by one law. So it's pretty much like a European model. So we've got the big idea, but all these countries operate independently within it.
It's nicely explained. Haydn Townsend, Chief Executive Officer, strategists on your trade.
Let's not forget.
From Pangea Ultima. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.